Hello, I'm Pastor Matthew Verhoek from the Valley Alliance Church, and today we're going to look at a familiar story from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verses 25 to 37, the parable of the Good Samaritan. The story begins with a lawyer asking Jesus, testing him, "What must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus asks him right back, "How do you understand the law?" And he answered, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." Jesus tells him, "Do this and live." Now the lawyer knows he's fallen into a trap because here he is unlovingly trying to trap Jesus. And so, like any good lawyer, he tries to justify himself. But he, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" The lawyer cannot fulfill the law, so he blends the law down into something a little more palatable by narrowing the definition of neighbor. But Jesus will have none of it. And Jesus replied, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell among robbers, who stripped him and beat him and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a priest was going down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side." Will this holy religious figure stop to help a fellow Israelite? No. And likewise, a Levite would come and go as well. But finally, the Samaritan comes. And this is the part of the story where race really comes in. Because the Jews and Samaritans had a deep and bitter ethnic divide. Think Jews and Nazis. Blacks and southern slave owners. The Samaritan here is on enemy territory, probably on business. There are Jewish people who will not speak to him. They will not let them stay in their hotel. And if they had water fountains, they wouldn't let the dirty Samaritan drink at it. Bear this in mind when the Samaritan shows up. Verse 33, "But a Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where he was. And when he saw him, he had compassion. He went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he set him on his own animal and brought him to an inn and took care of him," spending his very own money to help. Jesus ends by asking the lawyer, who was the neighbor? And he could have very well dropped his mic. Jesus' story answers two questions. The first is, who is my neighbor? The answer is, everyone whom God providentially places in your path that you are called to help. I don't know when it will happen. I don't know where. But God is going to bring people into your life that you are called to help, like the Samaritan does. They may be very different than you, but in that moment, you are the person called to help them. Don't be like the holy priest who just walks by. The second question this parable answers is, what is love? What does it mean to love your neighbor? The Samaritan shows us that love crosses racial bounds. Love risks safety in order to help. Love takes time and interrupts our schedule. And finally, love takes our money and property. Love is costly. And so make sure when you go through life, you be a neighbor and love them like the Samaritan.